Saba, here we is. So Saba is CEO and co-founder of Digital Road Studio. Dude, hardcore. Um, I'm not sure to what extent like content's been made. I mean, we see some Decagon, we see some Empire of Sin, so that it looks like there is some experience in here. Um, Freelance work for Digital Road Studio. Right, so this is also work related. So these are very, that's an interesting logo. It's cool looking. These are very high fidelity, like detail props, right? And this is 2 years ago, so I won't feedback on this too much. But if we're looking at like, let's see what this one is as well. Special thanks 3D FTF community. Oh, nice. I know that community. Interesting. So this specific prop as well, man. I feel like portfolio reviews, when you're not in a call, I feel like I go through them way too fast. I'll try and slow down. But yeah, when I look at assets like this, first I want to, like I always say in every video, it's like seeing the wireframes, seeing the textures, understanding how you're thinking about your PBR values, and then just looking at the geometry. Like wireframes are really useful, but seeing how like there's an edge here. This is also last year, so grain of salt, of course. Dude man, thanks for the resub. Dude man, dude man, dude man. Yeah, looking at the fidelity, like down here, it looks pretty good. Maybe a little too low poly on the inside here. And then there's this harsh edge here that can, if it needs to be there, I think just adding a bevel and weighting that could help a lot. Like weighting the face normals could help a lot with that edge. And then just bringing some logic to the colors of surfaces. I like that in the roughness, there's a directionality to the inside, which really leads to the, oh yeah, it is a washing machine. You know, there's a lot of spinning motion that happens on the inside that's led to that type of surface rendering that way. But figuring out why things are colored the way that they are and the way that roughness is set up and aging and wear and tear, getting all of that logic in place is extremely important, because the moment that starts to feel strange or overdone is the moment you kind of pull the viewer out of the experience. Yo, Z with the gift to Chris as well. That's awesome. So Empire of Sin. Empire of Sin, it counts DLC. This is fairly low poly and optimized model for Paradox. So I'm not a weapons artist, as you know. But generally speaking, the overall impression that I get from this is really nice. Some surfaces, like the wood material, could be pushed further, right? But when you look at like how the wood looks to the rest of the prop, it all kind of feels very similar. Like they're all part of the same asset versus like, or part of the same universe. But the scope and like seeing the roughness on it, I think that's where you get a bit distracted and like trying to understand like why it's so, because you can see there's all this dirtiness, but then here it's not as dirty, or it's like more subdued. So like unifying that kind of like if you go to just a roughness view of this, you'd probably notice that there's a lot going on up here, and then everything else is relatively kind of mellowed out. Let's see if there's, again, I would love to see some breakdowns, but maybe that's a thing that's a little limited on the Paradox front, or not Paradox themselves, but just the fact that you have to that you're publishing it through someone, and usually they have to check off the screenshots as well, right? So these are just your standard like, oh, we need an asset library, right? We need props that we can just kind of place around the scene to fill the space out. These all look generally all right. They're, I would imagine, because of the scale of the game, like the way you view these assets, without seeing the context of it, I would just assume that these are more for like a third person or quite a bit further away, and likely dynamic. If it's like if you think XCOM style, in that sense, then these look pretty good. Poly count wise, they're probably fine. Like I say on streams from time to time, it's really based on the context of like what you're building for. If this is third person or even like XCOM style, this is pretty good detail. I don't even know if they would put that in there in some games that are like that. But yeah, and then we get into 7 Days to Die. That's an interesting, what's going on there? So I had a chance to work with Decagon on a game called 7 Days to Die. Thanks for all the feedback. So these are really cool. These assets look pretty nice. They're pretty straightforward, but they have a lot of character to them, and also your materials are pretty strong in them as well. I do, again, like to see the texture maps, but I don't know what the limitations are of the delivery of this content and like what you got image-wise back. And then when we look at, I guess this is another set of textures or assets from the, so this is just a laundry basket. I think what I would do is combine these two and maybe even combine the Empire of Sin together. Oh, Z, it's gonna be all right, man. But like, yeah, I feel like this could be one post, and this one could be one post. Oh, dude, look at this radiator. It's interesting because at this angle, the way that the paint is chipping feels a little funny to me, like especially this one, and maybe like these like cracked ones. But like from this angle, it feels quite natural. So I think leaning into like not being too close to the prop and just letting it do the talking for you would be really good. A black background, I usually tell you to avoid. Just put some, I don't know, a gradient or some value back there, and you can put a cast shadow on these. That's really subtle. Just something to get it to pop away from the black background, because it makes everything, all the little elements get like that much more contrasted. It becomes very difficult to look at, to like process, you know. Generally speaking though, like this view here, that distance is really nice for viewing this type of asset. And then we got the tracer knife or tracer tracker. Did you guys watch John Wick? I did. That was, John Wick was in my mind there for a second. Yeah, this looks cool. This surface detail, man, that subtlety, that's super nice. I don't know how you're doing that because it's very soft, but I feel the nice. Nice. The I can feel the surface. John Wick usually gets into the mind with a pencil. True. But this asset looks great, and the materials look really nice. I think what I'm looking for, and nice, I love it. The material I want to see is your roughness. I want to see how this was done. I want to see the metalness, roughness, and albedo, just to see where these values are at, because I actually don't know how you're going between those two. Is it just really high in roughness value? Is it metalness even? There's a specific, I think it is metalness, but it's very nice. I love this surface. And it feels strangely natural. Like there's some directionality to the scratches and all that stuff. Might be spec gloss. You know, Z, you might be right. You might be right. Because like to get that level of fidelity might require that you deal with your specular maps as well. You got color too. Mm. Oh, dude, you worked on the Butcher Alley stuff. Worked as a contract artist with the Decagon team to produce assets for the content for a Butcher's Alley. That that scene is crazy. So these look great, and I love seeing it in context. Just being able to see the details, man, those colors are crazy. Again, I want to see textures, man. I want to see them. I want to understand. This also looks extremely high res, not just in the geometry, but like the textures. But yeah, I think without knowing too much, it looks like you're doing a lot of freelance work. And some of your most recent stuff is with Decagon. Decagon's a great place to be doing freelance for. I think we just need to see like pushing your presentations a little further and doing more breakdowns and then unifying your thumbnails and then combining some stuff. Like I don't think the Empire of Sin and the 7 Days to Die need to be separated like this in order to actually make it so people can go through your content quicker to make a decision faster, right? And you want to make sure that they look at as much of your stuff as possible to make that decision. So the less clicks, the better. But yeah, super cool. And I love the you look very stoic. Stoic indeed. But cool. Okay, so I know that you are not here for this review, but if you have any questions, just message me and I will answer for you. Dope. Dope.